Welcome to Live Interactive English. Hello, everyone. I'm Karen.
I'm Mike.
And today we are looking at...
Snacks.
That's right. And a trip to the movie theater, right?
And snacks.
And you have a lot of popcorn.
It's a long movie. This is Iron Man 5, and I heard it's 6.5 hours.
6.5 hours.
6 to 7 hours.
Is that why?
It's actually Iron Man 4 and 5 together.
Is that why you have a lot of popcorn and drinks?
Oh yeah, and I have a pizza coming in about 2 hours.
But can I have a drink too? I mean, I didn't get a drink. I only got popcorn.
Well, what kind of popcorn did you get?
I got a mix of salty and sweet.
Yeah, but you have sweet in there. I have all salty, extra salt. And so I have 2 drinks just for me.
Sharing is caring, Mike.
I need it. I have a lot of salt. I will be dehydrated like a raisin if I don't drink all of these drinks. I'm really sorry.
Come on, Mike. Can you just share?
Okay, you can have one of my drinks.
Thank you.
But if I die, it's your fault.
Okay, don't worry, okay?
My kidneys stop working. It's your fault.
I will get you another drink, okay? I'm not gonna let you die, okay? We're gonna enjoy the movie with our snack and our drink. But wait,
yes.
I want more than popcorn.
What do you want?
In Taiwan, we can get a lot of things.
Like what?
You know, like 甜不辣 or 咸酥鸡. We have a lot of things that we can eat in the movie theater.
As long as you don't get either cho tofu or chicken feet, I'm okay with that.
Ooh, I love chicken feet too.
No, but they're so loud and everyone goes crunch, 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 crunch
True.
when they're eating them.
Okay, fine.
Yeah,
okay, I'm gonna get churros though.
Okay, get some of those. And then you
churros
can
are
give me
good.
the drink back because those are sweet. Thank you.
No, I'm keeping them. No. Okay, let's go into today's lesson, a trip to the movie
I
theater.
hope I live through this. Wendy and Abe are leaving the theater after watching the movie.
What did you think?
It was pretty good, but it's far from the best sci-fi film I've seen.
I feel the same. The acting was okay, but the plot was a little predictable. It pales in comparison with the likes of Star Wars and Dune.
Yeah, those movies set a very high bar. The special effects were great though. All of the action looked so real.
That's true. I really felt like I was in space.
Me too.
So today we are looking at part 2 of a trip to the movie theater. Last time we were getting snacks and also drinks, right?
That's right. We were with Wendy and Abe. Remember, Abe is visiting from America.
That's right.
So it's his first time to see a movie here in Taiwan, and he noticed some of the differences. The big one being you reserve your seat before. They put a seat number on your ticket, whereas in America and in Canada, you basically go in and find a seat. If you want a good seat, if it's a really important movie, you got to get there quite early.
Like
right?
half an hour early.
Yeah, so if it's an 8 o'clock movie, people will be going into the movie theater at 7:15, 7:30. If you get there a few minutes before, you're going to be sitting at the side, at the back, or right down at the front. So that is something people need to be aware of. And then the snacks, they had a good time getting the snacks.
That's right. They decided on the candy and also the popcorn, right?
Wendy didn't want the hot dog. She didn't want to get messy. And it's true, you're eating in the dark. And also eating quiet food, I think, is a good idea.
That's true.
Absolutely.
Hot dogs can be quiet.
Hot dogs are very quiet until you go, God, I got mustard all over my shirt. So try to keep it down. All right, so what are we going to do in part 2? Let's find out. It looks like we're going to be joining them after the movie to see what they thought. So let's get into it.
So it says discussing the movie. So Wendy and Abe are going to discuss the movie, and Wendy and Abe are leaving the theater after watching the movie. So Wendy starts off by saying, what did you think? Well, usually when you go watch movies with friends, and this is a question that you would often ask right after the movie, because maybe you want to have a short discussion about it, and then you want to talk about what both of you, if you liked it or you didn't like it.
Yeah, after a dinner, after a movie, after a concert, or even going to a museum, whatever, what did you think? What are your feelings of what we just saw, what we just watched? In other words, did you like it or not? And so Abe says, it was pretty good, but it's far from the best sci-fi film I've seen. So I guess he's giving it kind of a 3 or a 4 out of 5, or a B if you're giving it a letter grade. Yeah, so it was pretty good, not bad, definitely, but it's far from the best. It is not even close to the best science fiction or sci-fi film I've seen. If he's a fan of Avatar or Star Wars or whatever, those are much higher. This one was okay, but he probably won't rush out and see it again or something like that.
And now Wendy says, I feel the same. Okay. The acting was okay, but the plot was a little predictable. It pales in comparison with the likes of Star Wars and Dune.
Oh, Dune, yeah,
okay, so she says very predictable. What does it mean? It just means that I can guess what's going to happen next, right? And sometimes when you watch movies, you don't want something that is too predictable. Right?
Yes, exactly. If you know what the ending is going to be, if you know how the bad guy is going to die and all that stuff, it kind of takes the magic and fun out of it.
Exactly. So the plot was predictable. What's a plot? So plot, that is a noun. Plot is the series of events that make up a story, like the different events that happens in a movie or story. Or for example, you can say that movie was really confusing. I struggled to follow the plot. I didn't really understand it.
Okay, so if someone asks you, hey, what's that movie about? And you tell them a basic idea of the movie, that's the plot. If they say no spoilers, they don't want you to ruin the plot or the surprise in the plot. In other words, it's kind of like the story, what's happening in the action of the movie. And if it's predictable, well, a predictable plot or story or something just means you can kind of guess what's going to happen. You haven't seen it before, but it's so much like other movies you've seen. There's nothing really surprising in it. And, you can kind of guess 20 or 30 minutes before it happens in the movie what is going to happen in the movie. So, in other words, it's kind of lazy, not very creative writing. But, that happens. And I guess the more movies you watch, the more predictable some other movies will be, just because you have a lot of experience.
Hello， 大家好，我是 Hanny， 今天要继续来看2段跟看电影有关的对话。现在 Wendy 和 Abe 看完电影了 ，Abe 觉得这部片还不错，但远称不上是他看过最棒的科幻电影。Wendy 也有同感，这演技还可以，可是情节有点太容易猜到了，跟《星际大战》还有《沙丘》这一类的电影相比，显得逊色不少。那单字 plot 它就表示情节、剧情。Mike 老师刚刚有提到 spoiler。spoiler 可以表达剧透或是爆雷的意思，所以当你看到 spoiler alert 就是表达有雷渗入，就小心不要点进去咯。好，下一个单字 predictable 是形容可预料的、可预测的。那刚刚 Abe 说那一部电影远称不上他看过的最棒的科幻电影，这边用到一个重点是 be far from 点点点的用法。Be far from 可以表达离什么很远，像 Joe's office is far from his house。Joe 的办公室离他的住家很远。那第二个，它可以表达一点也不怎么样，远非什么什么。From 的后面可以接形容词、名词或者是动词 ing 去做强调用。我们看2个例句。The joke was far from funny。那个笑话一点也不好笑。What he said was far from the truth. 他所说的远非事实。好，这句话课文中。
Anyways, back to our dialogue. Abe, he agrees here with Wendy. He says, yeah, those movies, she mentioned Star Wars and Dune as good science fiction movies. He says, yeah, those movies set a very high bar. That's a very tough standard because they're so good, right? If someone sets a high bar, they perform very well. And for other people to even get close to that will be challenging because that one was so good. But he does agree about also some good things about Space Commander. The special effects were great though, and in a sci-fi movie, that's important. And he says all of the action looked so real. And this is a problem with new movies. Sometimes they spend so much money and time on the CGI and the special effects, they don't really write a good plot. But anyways, it looked good. It was exciting to watch, but the story was just a little boring.
That's right. And Wendy agrees with that. And Wendy says, that's true. When you agree with somebody, whatever whatever they say, you believe that is also true, then you can say, that's true. I really felt like I was in space. Wow, okay.
That's a pretty good effect. Okay, a pretty good accomplishment by the movie makers if you feel like you're there in the middle of the action. And Abe agrees. He says, me too. All right, I also felt like I was a space commander in the movie.
Abe 提到《星际大战》《沙丘》那些电影立下的标准非常高，不过他们看的这部片特效真的很棒，所有的动作场面看起来都很真实，会让人觉得自己像在太空中。好，文中用到 set a high bar 就是表达设立很高的标准 ，special effects 则是指特效。那接好课文中。
All right, let's take a quick break and then we'll be back with the final little dialogue. Wendy and Abe continue talking.
So, how did you find your first trip to the movies in Taiwan?
I had a great time. However, I did find the Chinese subtitles a little distracting.
I know what you mean. If you speak English well, those words on the screen can be annoying.
Hey, and at least nobody was talking during the movie.
Why would anyone do that?
I don't know. It happens quite a lot in the US. People chatting too loudly or looking at their phones. It really gets on my nerves.
Yeah, that would completely take me out of the movie. I'm glad it doesn't happen so much here.
All right, so we are back. We've already talked about what Abe and Wendy thought about the movie they watched, Space Commander. But part 4, it says reflecting on the movie theater experience. So this isn't so much about the movie as it is about going to the movies. And remember, for Abe, this is his first time to see a movie in Taiwan. So here we're going to talk about, what did you think of watching a movie in Taiwan compared to what you remember of watching them in America, to reflect on this.
That's right. So to reflect as in thinking carefully about it. So you're thinking like, how did I feel as the first time going to the movie theater in Taiwan? To reflect on something means you're thinking about it carefully. So for example, you can say Truman reflected on the time he spent in college. So maybe he thought about, okay, it was a great time. I made lots of friends, but maybe I didn't have a lot of pressure from college. He was reflecting on that experience.
Yeah, so it's kind of like remembering, but it's also about remembering and then looking back as a different person, as an older person when you remember. And also you think about it carefully and you're not just going over what happened. You're thinking about how you feel and stuff. Wendy and Abe continue talking. That's what it says there because, of course, their conversation is now about reflecting on movie theater watching and movie theater experiences, I should say, in Taiwan.
That's right. So now Wendy asks, so how did you find your first trip to the movies in Taiwan? So Wendy really wants to know, right? Because it's his first time for Abe. Does he find it the same or does he like it more?
Yeah.
So what does Abe say?
Well, he says, I had a great time. So that's good. He really did enjoy it. I had a great time. However, here's something he wasn't maybe such a fan of. I did find the Chinese subtitles a little distracting. Okay, well, that's a good point. In America, assuming the movie is in English, like a big Hollywood movie is, there will be no writing on the screen during the movie. So no Chinese subtitles, nothing else like that. And subtitles are those words across the bottom of a screen, both in a movie and on TV. Many TV shows in Taiwan have subtitles.
That's right.
And of course, when we watch streaming or if you watch a DVD or something like that, you can often choose to have subtitles on or off. You can choose the languages. And yeah, for some people, it's not something they're used to. I think here living in Taiwan, we're used to it because it's on a lot of things. But for other people, it might be a little distracting. It takes your attention away from the screen. And now you're reading a lot more, just noticing it a lot more.
That's right. And that is another difference between,
Definitely.
going to the movies in North America and in Taiwan.
Yep.
在第4段对话里，他们在回想电影院的体验。Wendy 问 Abe 在台湾第一次看电影感受如何 Abe 说他看得很开心，不过中文字幕让他有点分心。好 ，reflect 这个动词它表示深思、认真思考，我们可以用 reflect 或者是 reflect back。在后面再接 on 或 upon 去表达回想、回忆的意思。那么 subtitle 表示字幕 ，distracting 则可以形容使分散注意力的、使分心的。好，接回课文中。
And now Wendy says, I know what you mean. If you speak English well, those words on the screen can be annoying because you can kind of watch the movie just by listening. You don't really have to read the subtitles, right?
Exactly right, especially if it's in a language you can read. I like English subtitles sometimes, but I do find I read more than I watch just because my eyes are always looking there. Yeah, so if something's annoying, it kind of just bothers you.
That's right. So annoying means something or that someone, you can call someone annoying too. That makes you feel a little bit angry or bothered, like a noisy toy or a friend who keeps interrupting you. So for example, you can say, I find her laugh so annoying. Maybe something like that.
Oh my gosh, okay. Back to the dialogue. Hey, says Abe, at least nobody was talking during the movie. Okay, so this is a good thing about seeing a movie in Taiwan for him. He says, at least no one, or hey, at least no one was talking during the movie. Yeah, people don't do that, do they?
Well, and then now Wendy says, why would anyone do that? Because when you go to movie theaters in Taiwan, usually they're very quiet.
Yeah.
Right?
I would think so.
So what does Abe say now?
He says, I don't know. He doesn't know why anyone would do it. It's kind of rude to do that. It's impolite and doesn't respect the other people who just want to quietly watch the movie. But he says it happens quite a lot in the US. People chatting too loudly or looking at their phones. Keep your phone away. The light's going to bother people. It really gets on my nerves. So it's really annoying. If something gets on your nerves, you're saying it annoys me or it's annoying. I haven't heard about people doing that kind of thing. I did hear when Wicked came out, people were singing in the movie theater. They
in
had
Taiwan?
Not in Taiwan, in America. I don't know about
Really?
here. People had seen the show, they knew the songs really well. So when the actors, when Ariana Grande's singing, they're singing along too. And that would be even more annoying than if people were chatting during the movie. To chat is to talk. It's basically to talk in a casual way. You're not having a meeting and talking about one important thing. You're just like, hey, what's up? What's new? Tell me about your day. What do you think of the movie? That kind of thing. When we say friendly talk, small talk, talking with your friends over coffee, just for fun, just to kind of spend time with people. That's what we mean by chatting. Yesterday, it says, I met up with my friends and we chatted about old times. Nothing important, just sharing some memories.
That's right. And now Wendy says, yeah, that would completely take me out of the movie. I'm glad it doesn't happen so much here. But I don't remember people talking or chatting a lot back in Canada in the movie theaters.
No? Well, Abe's from America, so maybe it's different. I don't know. But yeah, it does seem kind of, and I think a lot of people would kind of turn and look at you or go
Exactly.
shh or something
that
like that.
That would be annoying.
It would be. Chatting in a movie is like chatting in a library. Just don't chat there.
刚刚 Abe 说中文字幕有点让人分心 ，Wendy 了解他的意思。如果英文程度很好，荧幕上那些字可能会让人觉得很烦。不过 Abe 接着说，至少在台湾看电影时没有人说话，在美国啊会有人聊天声音很大，或者是在看手机，这都还蛮常见的，让他觉得很烦躁。Wendy 听了也觉得这会让人完全出戏耶，幸好在台湾不常发生这种情况。那么单字 annoying 它是形容恼人的、讨厌的 ，chat 是动词表示聊天。那文中用到 get on somebody's nerves 表示惹恼某人，使人感到烦躁啊，或是受不了。还有用到 take somebody out of the movie 就是表达使某人出戏的意思哦。好，这回到课文中。
All right, guys, that's all the time we have. So we hope you have wonderful movie experiences wherever you go. And
That's
take
right.
care.
We'll see you guys next time.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Wendy and Abe are leaving the theater after watching the movie.
What did you think?
It was pretty good, but it's far from the best sci-fi film I've seen.
I feel the same. The acting was okay, but the plot was a little predictable. it pales in comparison with the likes of Star Wars and Dune.
Yeah, those movies set a very high bar. The special effects were great though. All of the action looked so real.
That's true. I really felt like I was in space.
Me too.
Wendy and Abe continue talking.
So, how did you find your first trip to the movies in Taiwan?
I had a great time. However, I did find the Chinese subtitles a little distracting.
I know what you mean. If you speak English well, those words on the screen can be annoying.
Hey, and at least nobody was talking during the movie.
Why would anyone do that?
I don't know. It happens quite a lot in the US. People chatting too loudly or looking at their phones. It really gets on my nerves.
Yeah, that would completely take me out of the movie. I'm glad it doesn't happen so much here.
最后，我们来复习今天课文里的单字文法。单字的部分有 plot 这个名词表示情节、剧情 ，reflect 是动词，表示深思、认真思考。Annoying 它是形容恼人的、讨厌的 ，chat 是动词，表示聊天。那文法的部分，我们学到 be far from 可以表达离什么很远，或者是表达一点也不怎么样，远非怎么样。From 的后面可以接形容词、名词或者是动词 ing 来做强调用。好，那以上这些讲解，同学们别走开，马上回来哦。
A pier is a platform built on the shore that extends over the surface of the water. And at Sun Moon Lake, one of the popular spots to visit is 水社 Pier. There's enough to see and do at this location, so let's find out more about it. 水社 Pier is on the north side of Sun Moon Lake. It's the first place most people go to when they visit Sun Moon Lake. It's also the most popular spot to start a boat tour of the lake. While walking on the pier, you can feel the waves and enjoy the nice view of the lake. 水社 Visitor Center is behind 水社 Pier. It offers all kinds of tourist information. Around 水社 Visitor Center is the popular Specialties Street. You can find many hotels, restaurants, and shops here. Tourists can buy unique local specialties for their family and friends, such as postcards and millet wine. Visitors can also take a walk along 水社 Lakeside Trail. The entire trail is a gentle slope. The trail passes 草悟 Pier, one of the 4 major piers of Sun Moon Lake, and the famous site of 九龙口. It's a great choice for people who want to take their time. Next time you're visiting Sun Moon Lake, make sure to visit the 水社 Pier. With so many things to keep you entertained, it's a perfect option to spend a relaxing day with your loved ones.